Creating mobile money accounts. Okay.
Smart Means Business continues here now, and we are heading into our topical discussion of the day, clearly to see what is making rounds and what is the future of mobile money accounts. What does the law say about it? Because if you're to focus more and clearly see, most people do have claims about their mobile money deposits that they do have, and the level at which most of them withdraw the amount, and the limitation on the withdrawals. Depending on the people who have actually died, or people who lose their loved ones, who are still having who are still having huge amounts of money onto these mobile money accounts. And speaking and to talk about this particular issue regarding mobile money deposits as well as withdrawals, and what does the law have to say in regards to the monetary aspect of it. I'm not alone in studio. I'm here with a lawyer. Let me give him the opportunity to introduce himself before we do proceed. You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay. So if you're out there, we want to know what is your name and what do you do, where and which organization are you standing for? If at all you have one.
I do. My name is Chizito Louis. I'm a lawyer, but I am head of legal and corporate affairs at a tech startup called Pixel Technologies. Yeah, so that's the simple introduction I can make.
Okay. So what does Pixel? You say Pixel Technologies do? Pixel. What does what do you mainly do? Is it a law firm or
a law firm? No, the name doesn't even sound like a law firm. It's a tech startup which majors in it's a what you would call an OBM, an original brand manufacturer. They, these technology businesses, especially world over, are pivoting. So you try supplying software, you try doing maintenance, you try a host of things.
Okay.
But it's majorly a tech startup that majors in supply of software, supply of services, yeah, basically.
Okay. Now let's first dive into this situation. If you could actually show us on the new Payment System Act of 2020 that is regulating the Mobile Money Act. What is your view? What is it about? If you can actually take us through that.
The National Payment Systems Act was passed last year to regulate mobile money, but not only to regulate mobile money, to actually provide a regulatory framework for payment systems. Payment systems are those things that actually transfer money, value, from one person to another. The law was promulgated last year, passed last year, and signed last year. So after, I think around September 2020, that's when they passed the law. Now, fast forward to 2021, the Bank of Ghana made the regulations that enable the implementation of the law that Parliament passed. So the regulations were gazetted around March, 4th March this year. But the entire purpose of the law is to, of course, most of us are mobile money users.
Definitely.
Is to regulate mobile money in terms of corporate governance, financial management, generally governance, and maybe consumer protection, trying to find a better way of a complaint mechanism, the kind of licenses you can get.
Okay.
Then it also regulates fintech businesses that are, for instance, like us. You could be in a business of doing, or maybe coming up with an app or developing an app, and you want to transfer value. It's not just a matter of having the skill of how to code and all that stuff. You have to know the legal framework that governs you. You have to know the capital requirements you require. So, like banks, these payment systems also have capital requirements. For instance, if you have, you need a minimum of 5 million to get 5 billion shillings to get the license that the MTNs and, or even the higher you go, there are two licenses: payment service providers and payment service operators, PSOs. So, the ones that MTN got and Airtel too are in that category. They got both the two licenses. So it provides for capital requirements. It don't only regulates mobile money, because mobile money is a payment system also. It transfers value. But you also have fintechs like MS Wave they also create something called a sandbox, which is supposed to experiment on those innovative financial products that are not covered for in the law, but they give them a chance to operate without a license. until maybe Bank of Ghana understands the modalities of how they work, and then maybe they give you a license.
Okay.
So basically, that's what I have. That's how I can summarize the law.
Okay. Well, what I wanted to understand is, does it also concern the mobile money, the transactions with Western Union and all those money transfer agencies?
Yes and no, but yes, because they are payment systems too.
Okay.
Because even the law provides for when you can, how a foreign entity can get a license. Western Union, yes, can, but I don't think they'll be under any pressure too.
Okay.
Because the practical realities are that even right now, people have got the licenses to operate a payment system. The ones we know in the mobile money area are two. Now, when you go to the remittance area, the remittances, I think there's a law for the remittances.
Okay.
And you could argue that maybe Western Union could fall in that category.
Of that particular law.
Remittances. But also they can actually, this space is ever evolving. Payments is an area where there's fast-paced changes, innovation. So you never know. Maybe if you widely stretch the interpretation of the law, you can make the case that they should actually get the license. But in the whole, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because actually, if you look at the law, they make exceptions for what they don't regulate.
Okay.
As part of the payment system, you know something called the RTGS system. Bank of Uganda. That is an interbank way of transferring money, but high net worth kind of transactions. But also clients can get that service. But it is primarily for interbank. And so you find that they state it clear, they don't regulate RTGS. They don't regulate something called, when you're buying securities, the Securities Exchange, there's that payment system used. It's called the summary. You have RTGS, and then you have the SCD account, the SCD, Securities Collateral Depository. That, because when you're going to buy securities or treasury bonds, but BOU or through your bank, or if you're going to buy shares in Ghana Securities Exchange, you need to open up an SCD account. So they don't regulate that. The payment systems they don't regulate are stipulated in the law. So they don't regulate the RTGS. They don't regulate, because those have their law already.
Okay. So I would want to understand, is it true that people's mobile money will be remitted, will be actually remitted to the consolidated fund if their accounts are redundant?
Yes.
In a period of time. Is it a period of time
it's a period. It is actually true that your money will be remitted. Everyone's money that is watching will be remitted to the consolidated fund. But these are the timelines.
Okay.
Now, if you have anyone who has a bank account knows that there are timelines within which your account can be rendered redundant. Now, for the payment systems, for mobile money, let me actually narrow down the discussion to mobile money. But even payment systems in general, but mobile money, we shall go into the fintechs and others later. If you don't have any transaction in a period of 9 months, then your service provider or MTN, Airtel, is supposed to send you a notification that you have not had any transaction within this period. You are now clocking 8 months. Actually, they're supposed to give you that notification 1 month to the 9 month.
When your mobile money is not active.
When you have not done anything, even when you have 7 million there. Okay. If there's no sign of you having done a transaction in 9 months.
Even when the money is already on the front.
Yes. Your account be rendered redundant, and then the mobile money company or payment system, but let me focus on the mobile money companies. And I'll explain why they are companies, because MTN as a company is not operating mobile money, it's currently a subsidiary, but we shall go into that. Okay. Let me explain the redundancies and how they can remit the money to the consolidated fund. Now, when you are in 9 months, no transaction, the payment service provider or payment service operator will have to send you a notification on the 8th month. If nothing happens, then they will have to send you another one on the 9th month. If nothing happens, then your money after those 9 months will be remitted to first Bank of Uganda before it goes to the consolidated fund. Now, between that time and 7 years' time, if you do not claim your money in 7 years, it will be remitted to the consolidated fund. And under the law, once money goes there,
it is no longer money.
You cannot enforce a judgment to get money from the consolidated fund.
So that means it's no longer into
It's literally gone. That's the sad reality. It's gone. Kenya has a different framework. Kenya, they have something called Unclaimed Monies something company, which they created. So once your money, because Kenya has had this law since 2011.
Okay.
Now, for them, once your money is not claimed for a long period, like even 7 years, they'll just take it to that, and maybe you can claim it at some point. But now we have a limitation of 7 years, so your money will be taken and remitted to the consolidated fund. And under our law, I don't know really how you're going to get a court judgment to get monies that even belong to you from the consolidated fund. And even then, that's under the law, you have something called limitation period. So that money is literally gone. Maybe you can claim that money between the time it's been, before it goes to consolidated fund, between the time your account is really redundant and the payment service operator or the mobile money company is requested to take that money to Bank of Uganda, some account somewhere in Bank of Uganda. Within that time, you can claim. Beyond the 7 years, unless civil society and the noisemakers in this market kind of say this is unfair, I don't think it's going to change.
Now, what I really want to understand is, in most cases, I think if someone has money onto their account, that means if you don't, because one of the reasons is why people are actually not getting into, why most of the public out there are not quite aware of the situation is, most people feel it is safer to keep money onto your account. Because at least the only chance you have to actually receive, to have charges on board is when you're transacting or you're maybe depositing or sending to someone. So if you keep it for some time, it is safer. If I'm to put it in that way, if you're going to keep your SIM card safe. But when it comes to a 9 month of someone saying now your account will be referred to as
redundant,
dormant. How about if you're not even having any transaction? It is the same thing, right? If literally, maybe you have no deposit, no withdraw,
nothing. If you're not paying any utilities, if it's literally if there's no activity, and that's the problem with this law. One, I feel the public they have not created enough awareness, and I blame the central bank because there's a new directorate and department for payment systems directorate.
Okay.
I thought they would invest enough time in advertising and creating awareness of customer rights and consumer protection in the newspapers, in the media, but largely the discussion is not in the public domain as much. Okay, yes, you can argue there's a semblance. Last 4 days ago, they had a discussion, but it was confined to a very small group of people who can actually attend these conferences. It wasn't even televised widely. You watched it on TV.
Because that is the only bigger problem now, is that people don't really know what is happening.
People don't know. And before you know it, so much money is going to be remitted to the consolidated. Okay, it might not get that extreme, but at least people won't even know the complete mechanism within which to just retrieve your money from the central bank. And the telecom companies that got the license, and let me explain why the telecom companies. Under the law, MTN and existing mobile money companies were given 6 months, within 6 months of the passing of the law, to create a subsidiary company which will handle the business of mobile money payments. Right now you have Airtel Commerce handling mobile money. Airtel, the company, that's not its core operation. It's just a holding company. MTN, the company, is just a holding company. But it's spinned off or spun off, if that's the right tense I can use. It's created a subsidiary company where it has shares, and other people also have shares, but it is under the Airtel company. Now the question will arise, and what people don't know is if you have a mobile money incident, do you go to
MTN,
the telecommunication, which is regulated by UCC, or you go to Airtel Commerce? Of course, now the complaint mechanism, this again creates awareness. Now, you may go to Airtel, and Airtel, of course, as a holding company, they will direct you to their subsidiary, Airtel Commerce, but by that time, maybe you have lost a lot of time, maybe you have incurred unnecessary expenses because you do not know. And then maybe the liability of losing your money is not on the company, but on its subsidiary. So all these issues are not in the public domain, and yet how many mobile money subscribers do we have? Around 23 million? I think the number is even
a number.
Yeah.
Quite many. And what I want to look at is most of the I still want to understand when mainly some of the issues as to why this particular act was put into play is because the government was looking at, there were a number of dormant mobile money accounts that were already operating, and according to that, I think that is why it had to come into play. Is it fair though?
That's a very hard question. The law is new, but I will say yes and no. You see, the law doesn't regulate mobile money alone. The law intends to regulate payments, but it makes the mistake of assuming that all payments, wallets, all systems operate like mobile money. It is unfair to take startups that are trying to create apps to transfer value.
Okay, to the economy. Okay.
The arguments have been made that it's going to promote innovations. Innovation, I don't think so. When it comes to mobile money and the users and the rights they have under the law that they don't even know of, you could argue that it has brought some order to chaos.
Order to chaos. There's a lot of chaos and then we have some order.
Yeah,
Are we organizing something? Is it what you're trying to mean?
Yeah, in that extent, to some extent, yes. To the mobile money customers, to the payment systems customers, especially mobile money, they have brought some semblance of order to chaos. The problem is, in the line of business and innovation, very many bureaucrats in the Central Bank and Uganda Bankers Association have been pivoting that, this is going to promote innovation. And that is a sad reality. It's not. You see, if you look at the history of innovation, because I think I've been in this field for some time, innovation is not nurtured by you having the most stringent laws you have in place. No, you don't overregulate your way into innovation. That's the mistake they make. For instance, now the capital requirements required for you to be, for just a normal startup to get into the business, they have surrendered the payment system generally to outsiders. It's going to be very hard for a tech startup in this market, local entrepreneurs, without any foreign assistance or even raising venture capital from outside world to actually operate payment system, or for matter operate under the law. They might argue, yes, there is a regulatory sandbox, but the criteria of getting to the regulatory sandbox implies that, and this is the implication, that whatever you're going to do is a very unique innovation and it is not covered for in the law. Now, for you to make that case, it's not that easy. But the bureaucrats, because for them, they have not been in this space, they're arguing, innovation. And the other last problem I see, is that Uganda Bankers Association is hijacking the entire process. One, I think they got threatened by the mobile money revolution and the new payment system. And like I told you, it's an ongoing revolution.
Because it's clearly killing it off.
But now, I don't think they're independent of each other, because the law actually states that if your mobile money company, Airtel Commerce, you're supposed to operate a trust account or a special account with a bank.
Okay.
So there is a fusion in between. So they're in a kind of partnership now under the law. They're not entirely distinct.
All right. I want to take you back a little bit. You did mention of how this is greatly affecting the people in the fintech sector.
Yes.
And how is it affecting them that way? Because we are looking at them as people already looking into tapping into the digital space and clearly using e-commerce as their own way to run their businesses. I want to understand, how is it affecting them?
This is how it's affecting them, even without the law. If you're going to send money across Africa, transfer value in any other country, you would lose 30% of the money of that value, even without the law.
30%?
Of that value of the money you send in this continent. If you're going to send money to Nigeria, if you're going to send money to Kenya, you lose 30% of the value. I don't know how the law has remedied that. In fact, they made it even worse by creating a bureaucratic, cumbersome procedure, which is not bad, but if it is too bureaucratic, but let me get to this point. How is it affecting them? One, for you to be a fintech now and enter into the payment system, one, you're being outcompeted by the big players. The capital requirements are so high.
More so in this competitive world.
They're so high. Number two, I am not trying to say they don't regulate the fintech space. Yes, they should. The regulation is very important. You should not over-regulate it though, because you kill the essence of it.
Okay.
That's why. If you look at, for you to qualify to be in the payments, to get a payment system license, or even to go in the sandbox, there's certain governance requirements. You need financial accounts audited. 2 years. That could be another hindrance. Why wouldn't they make it? Why don't they make it at least a year to processing of the license or to expressing interest? But it's 2 years. You have to keep books of account. I've talked about the capital requirements, also liquidity requirements, which are not bad things. But I can tell you, Facebook did not rise out of an over-regulated environment. Look at all the innovations that have come out of this world. They did not rise out. You see, the bureaucrats are supposed to safeguard and make something sustainable. They do not create innovation. That's the problem. So the Bank of Uganda is supposed to make a fine line, or is supposed to reconcile their need to regulate the industry, the space and the ecosystem, and then to also the need to create innovation. So they need to balance the two. But you could not over-regulate and create better governance and what under the expense, because what we are going to see right now in the not so distant future is even the ones that were already here were exiting. We are doing mergers and acquisitions with Kenyan startups, because the Kenyan ecosystem at least is much bigger than ours here. So what you saw in the space between the passing of the law and now is that very many, because of the stringent requirements, are actually who cannot raise venture capital or outside financing, because that's what tech startups normally use to finance the operations. They have done an exit, what you would call a merger or an acquisition with another company in Kenya. Because maybe they thought if we partner with this guy, maybe in the long term we shall get into this system, this space. So that is exactly what I can see the challenge. So you also need government. It's not just a matter of them sitting back and creating regulations and saying, come and get a license. Okay. They have to create an enabling environment too.
All right. And I'm here with, is it right to say council? Oh, because normally I see
council, yes.
Students is referring themselves to council. So I do have Council Luis, Chizito Luis here in studio with me. We're into a discussion of knowing the future of mobile money in Uganda, and of which we're analyzing the National Payment Systems Act of 2020, and mainly looking into the mobile money sector, because it also regulates the mobile money, and that is where our main discussion is. Let's take a short break and we return with more. I want to discuss one about the future of people who have actually lost their loved ones, and their loved ones have mobile money on their accounts, because those are some of the things that we want to discuss about, where people are claiming that their deceased have a lot of money onto their accounts. And we're also talking about mobile money accounts that hold a number of over 17 million Ugandan shillings still there, and being referred to as redundant, have already been rendered redundant accounts. So we want to discuss the future and how do people get the money back. Maybe the money from the accounts of their deceased. Yes, these are some of the things that we're going to discuss immediately after the break. I still have Council Chizito Luis, and clearly he's going to give us his view on that regard, and how far can the government or even the policymakers behind this can take action in regards to the Mobile Money Act. Keep it.